Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with Remax, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show with host Stephanie Vivier.
Hello, Rob. How are you after a week of little candies all around? I don't know if your week was like mine, but there was like treat bombs everywhere to avoid.
Yeah, I'm having those sugar rushes, that's for sure, and I don't like it. I'm trying to stay away from it. So I stayed away from the bread, right? And now I see a Snickers chocolate bar hanging around the office, and I just grabbed one. But anyway, the leftover candy, that's where it's the killer. That's the killer. But you'd be amazed when you have a bowl of those little chocolate bars. You think you think you're not eating that much because they're small, but you end up eating more because you end up eating like 10 of them. You know what I mean? It's like,
oh yeah.
Oh, it's just, they're so good. My Kit Kats are my favorites.
Is that what it is? If we're trying to bribe Rob Golfi, like say I'm in a deep negotiation with you as a opposing real estate agent, if I put one of those little Kit Kats on the table, might I get a sweeter deal?
Oh, absolutely. Kit Kats, you put them in front of me, I'm in. I love chocolate. I'll tell you, I love chocolate, so I can't get away from it. And the milk chocolate is something I do get cravings for it, though. It is something that I do love, and so I try to stay away. But I remember Easter when all those, the old days, they used to have those big eggs wrapped in that cellophane, and
like the hollow egg.
The Europeans would be into that, and you get all these eggs and stuff like that. Like, how much chocolate could a kid eat, right? You get them from your aunt, your uncle, and relatives, and you got a house full of these eggs, and you eat all that chocolate probably within 2 weeks, which is too much. But anyway, so we would eat that.
Have some fun every now and then,
Oh yeah. So what is happening in the market? Things are moving. And
yeah, because last we spoke, we had that interest rate cut, and you saw I guess it was kind of a mixed bag. Last we spoke, you had lower appointments, and then they really picked up. Is that continue?
Yeah, what a difference 50 basis points makes as we approached at the end of this month, and our appointment center booked nearly 11% more appointments over the week prior following Wednesday's Bank of Canada rate decrease. So things did move the needle with that 50 basis points. So things are starting to move along. The appointment center Fridays is always the best day. It's always, that's when a lot of the bookings are happening for the weekend. And that's when I always say, you put your house on the market, put it on a Thursday or a Friday, but do not do it on the Monday or Tuesday. You will hurt yourself, especially if you want to get out-of-town buyers. Because if an out-of-town buyer doesn't get a chance to see the house, and it gets sold before they get to see the house, there's a high probability that maybe that could have been a multiple offer, or there have been more showings and stuff like that. So that is a key factor. But the sales this week significantly surpassed sales this week surpassed new listings by 18% point gap. One of the largest divides in our company history. This is between Remax, Escarpment, Remax, Niagara, and the Golfi team. And so it looks like things are starting to change over now. There's still opportunity out there for buyers out there to pick up some good deals, but those deals are not going to be there I'd say in 60 days. I think there's not going to be good deals out there. After that, look out. It's going to be tough for any buyer, and the sellers. It's going to be a seller's game after that. So things are changing now. We don't have the full numbers yet that come out as of for October 31st. The numbers will be out early next week. But just to give you an idea, that in St. Catharines, month over month, like from September of 2024 versus October, the sales were down. But again, I think it'll catch up once the numbers are all in. And also what do you call it? Medium sale price, basically benchmark price. It is up month over month. Now in Niagara Falls, again, we're higher, but benchmark price is down a little bit. From September versus October, and sales were just up a little bit, but the real numbers will be in. And then we got Welland Welland, the numbers are down, and also the benchmark price is down from month over month. So, but if we look at October of last year, it is even down from last year. So let's see once the final numbers are in. Like, I mean, I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, but it has it's showing signs in some cities better than others, but it's still floating around the same. Like I said, you've got a short window there to start buying some real estate and buying it at affordable rate, which I know is not affordable. And we're going to get into that later and talk about that with the affordable rate.
So relatively affordable is probably the best way to say it at this time. Rob, I want to ask you were just talking about, the Fridays being like the hot day for showings. And I've always wondered this. So let's say you have like an open house scheduled for on the weekend, a Saturday or Sunday, and an offer comes in on the Friday, and maybe it's just a little less than what you're asking. Should you still go ahead with the open house? Should you, put that offer off for 48 hours, or should you just take it and cancel it?
It depends how experienced the agent is and he knows the market well enough. So let's say you have an open house, you get an offer, it's a little lower than the asking price, just like you said, and they're saying, we want to deal with this now. We're not going to give you a day or a day and a half to deal with this. So they're putting you under the gun. So now you have to make a decision. Do we deal with this offer, or do we wait? Do we wait and see what the turnout's going to be at the open house? Now, open houses do expose your house to people, but a lot of times they don't really sell. They do sell, but not a lot. So don't bank on that. You got to bank on the private showings, like the bookings with the agents. Now, if we get an offer on a Friday and I know I have a solid day of bookings on that house, I'm going to be a little bit more confident and tell the buyer and buyer's agent, say, hey, you know what? We're going to wait till Sunday to deal with this offer. But if I have zero bookings on the system, and they can check and see if you do. So if you can't bluff them, you can't lie to them, because they'll know.
So all realtors know if there's something on the system, they can all see that.
Yeah, because we use a system that's called Broker Bay, and we can look and see how many showings are booked on that house. Now, some showings do get booked privately, but most brokerages in the Hamilton, Halton, Niagara region use this system called Broker Bay. So you go online and you book your appointment, and if you see it's booked up, you just find a slot that is not booked, and then you put your appointment in there that you want to see. So now if there's nothing booked the next day, then you're going, oh, okay, well, maybe we can go a little more aggressive negotiating, and then you can't be as cocky to do that. Like, so it's you got to do all your homework, and if you're doing all your homework, it can make a difference of thousands of dollars, whether on the buying or the selling side. So you have to be really tough on that. Now, because it's a listing that's just listed, you got to be tough on the negotiations, because also the buyer agent doesn't know what could happen down the pipe. Sometimes it takes 4 days to get some legs on that listing. So it is a tough thing to deal with. I've dealt with every situation that comes across, and I've been tough on a lot of situations. Some situations you can't be. They got you. They know they got you, and you just got to be tough and see how much you can hold out and how bad the buyer wants the house, and then how much you can negotiate against without having the deal fall apart and the buyers walk away. But yeah, we can see it now. I can see it when I'm putting an offer in. I'm looking at seeing how many people have booked the showings in the next 2 days. And if there's nothing, hey, I can go in a little bit more aggressive.
Okay. It makes it a real chess game. Thanks for answering that question. I've always wondered about that. You alluded a little bit earlier, Rob, that you were going to talk about, what is fueling this real estate market. It is, of course, very difficult for people to get in right now, but some opportunities, as you were pointing out. And there's been, some headlines about it being immigration that's really fueling these higher prices, but that may not be the case.
No, Pierre Pauvet has said that it's mostly private investors have taken over the housing market in Canada, accounting for up to 1/3 of the new home purchases in the past few years. In some cities, that problem is even worse. And in Edmonton, for example, researchers have found that most almost half of the purpose-built rentals are owned by big money investors. Yes, we know that, and that's how condos get built. If it wasn't for the investors, condo buildings would not get built, and usually it's a high percentage of investors that are buying them. And if we lose them, especially in the condo sector. Now, I don't know, when they do these numbers and check them out, I don't know if they're talking about condos or talking about single family homes like the semis and townhouses. I think they're one category and the condos should be in a different category. And I don't like the idea that they mix it all in and they talk about that, because yes, there are a lot of condos that are purchased by investors, but also there are detached homes. There are private investment companies that are buying up a lot of real estate. Now they're saying, Pierre Pauvet is saying it's not the immigrants that are causing this. It's the private, like it's the investors that are buying up the real estate. And there is a strong investment group out there. A lot of people, you'll hear they have a house and they own an investment property, and also large companies, large REIT companies. Now these new companies now manage 20 to 30% of Canada's purpose-built rental stock, according to the Canadian Human Rights Council. Now, Toronto, for instance, investors now own around 2/3 of all condos, and developers often rely on investors to buy up large chunks of the proposed building before they even break ground. That's true. We know that. There's a lineup of people, and each investor are buying sometimes 5 condos at a time. So that means investors' presence can shape up what gets built, with a strong presence for ever larger numbers. Now, I do believe, like, if they're buying them, they're renting them out. I mean, it's a good thing, right? But regardless, I still think it's the immigrants. Now, I don't know why Pierre Pauvet is, changing tunes, because I think an election is coming up soon, and they still want to bring immigrants into this country, and that's how they pay for our healthcare system. Well, we're paying for them. Eventually, hopefully, they pay us back with tax dollars that helps seniors and everything else. But I do think there is a combination of both that is causing the rise in expensive housing. We do have a shortage. I mean, if there is a shortage, like if investors are buying it, I mean, we have a shortage of also renters, and so, but not as much as buyers, for people like first-time buyers looking for a place to live. So how do they fix that? I don't know. I don't know if they can fix it. The only thing they can do is build more homes. And right now, developers and builders are not building homes because the interest rates, and people aren't interested in waiting a year to have their house built. They rather find something that is built already, and they get to move in 60 to 90 days.
Yeah, it is really a tricky one, because you mentioned those REITs that are managing these portfolios with these, large rental portfolios. And that can sound like, oh, these, giant corporations or whatever that are taking all of our homes, but many people have investments in them. You mentioned that they were pension stocks. So it's a good thing for a lot of people, because that means that their pensions are going to be worth more. So it really is, once you say this might be a little bit of a con, you also see that some of it's pros at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. But I'll tell you though, there are large REIT companies, and what REITs are, they're real estate, just in case some of the listeners here, REITs are real estate investment trust. Basically, they're a real estate fund that you can invest in. Now, there are like BlackRock, they are buying up real estate like there is no tomorrow. They're going to own a lot of real estate, and there's other large companies like them that are buying up everything.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Rob Golfi from the Golfi team. Give them a call, 905-641-0308, robgolfi.com. That's Rob, GOLFI.com, and start packing. This is News Talk 610 CKTV.